Pause for a moment, Aries. If you are hearing these words at this exact time, in March of 2026, there is a good chance it isn't a coincidence. In astrology, there are moments when the movement of the planets begins to form very unusual signals. And right now, the birth chart of Aries is revealing something that rarely appears. There is a message already on its way to you. It might be a truth someone has kept hidden for far too long, a sudden revelation, or a conversation that seems ordinary at first, but ends up changing the way you see your entire life. When Mars, the planet that rules the destiny of Aries, begins forming powerful alignments with Jupiter, ancient astrologers believed the universe was preparing to reveal important information, signals capable of guiding someone toward a turning point in their fate. And what is truly remarkable is that this very energy is clearly present in the skies this month, specifically for Aries, which means that very soon, someone may say something to you that you truly need to hear, a message that helps you understand why certain challenges appeared in your life recently, and why the next door in your journey is quietly beginning to open. But before we go deeper into the message astrology has for Aries, I want you to write something in the comments below. A simple affirmation to yourself. I am ready to hear the message the universe has for me. Because sometimes saying those words isn't just leaving a comment. It's a signal you send to the universe that your heart is ready. Ready for truth, ready for opportunity, and ready for the next chapter of your life. And if something in these words resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and share it. Because somewhere out there, another Aries might need to hear this message tonight. No. Listen carefully, Aries. Because the first astrological sign is beginning to unfold through the very planet that has always guided your courage, your strength, and your destiny. And when you understand this movement of Mars, you may begin to see why the universe is preparing to reveal something important, something meant especially for Aries. March of 2026 carries a very different atmosphere for Aries. Astrologers who have studied the sky for many years know something important. Not every month contains planetary movements strong enough to create real shifts in the soul, or in the path of a zodiac sign. But this time, it's different, because the planet that directly rules your energy, Mars, is entering a powerful cycle of awakening. And when Mars begins moving in this way, life around Aries rarely stays the same. In ancient astrology, Mars was never seen as just the planet of action. It was something deeper than that. Mars represents the inner fire within a human being, the force that allows someone to stand up after failure, to speak the truth when the world chooses silence, and to step forward, even when the road ahead is still unclear. That is why thousands of years ago, astrologers began calling Aries the carriers of the first flame of the zodiac. When Mars begins to grow powerful in the birth chart of Aries, the very first thing that usually happens is not a dramatic event. It doesn't arrive like thunder, or a sudden storm. The first shift happens quietly, inside the mind. You may begin to feel that something in your life is no longer the same as before. A subtle feeling, hard to explain, but clear enough to make you wonder if the universe might be preparing something for you. After many years studying astrology, this is the understanding I have come to believe. Moments when Mars awakens are not only moments of action, they are also moments of truth. And truth rarely appears in our lives when everything feels easy. Truth tends to arrive when we have finally become mature enough to hear it. For Aries, truth carries a very special meaning. You are not the kind of soul who feels comfortable living inside beautiful stories that are not real. Aries has a powerful instinct for sensing what is authentic and what is only a surface illusion. Sometimes you may not say anything out loud, but deep inside, you always know when something has not been fully spoken. And that is exactly why, when Mars begins forming powerful alignments this month, many Aries will start hearing things that were never said before. A conversation you have waited for may finally happen. Someone may decide to tell you a truth they have kept hidden for a long time. Or perhaps, you suddenly understand the real meaning of a situation that once confused you. I have always believed something very important about truth. Truth does not always arrive to hurt us. Very often, truth arrives to set us free. Free from situations, paths, or expectations that no longer belong to our journey. And when that kind of truth finally appears, the first emotion most people feel is not pain. It is relief. If you are an Aries who has gone through many challenges, In the past few years, you probably understand this feeling deeply. There are periods in life when everything feels like walking through fog. You keep moving forward, but you are not completely sure if you are walking in the right direction. And then one day, one piece of information, one conversation, one revealed truth, suddenly makes everything clear. Astrology suggests that moments like this rarely happen by accident. They tend to appear when planetary movements begin activating important areas in a person's birth chart. And for Aries this month, Mars is the key that unlocks that door. Let me ask you a very simple question, but answer it with your intuition. In the past few days, have you felt as if something is about to be said to you? A quiet feeling that a truth is approaching, or that an important conversation is very close ahead? If you have felt that, share it in the comments, because when many people speak about similar experiences, we often realize something remarkable. The energy of the universe is not touching only one person. Sometimes, it moves through many people at once, especially those born under the same sign, like Aries. But here is something even more interesting. The awakening of Mars is not only about truth, it is also about courage, because hearing the truth is only the first step. The next step is this. What will you do with it? I have met many Aries in my life, and there is something about them that I have always admired deeply. When their heart knows that change is necessary, they act. Some zodiac signs may spend a long time thinking, analyzing, hesitating, but when Aries senses that the universe is opening a door, they rarely stand still. They step through it. That is the real strength of this zodiac sign. Not just outward bravery, but honesty with oneself. Aries would rather face a difficult truth than continue living inside a story that no longer reflects who they truly are. And if you are listening to these words right now, it is possible that the universe is preparing a moment like this for you. A moment when truth appears, not to break your life apart, but to guide you toward a stronger version of who you are meant to become. That message might arrive through a friend. It might appear in an unexpected conversation, or it could come through an opportunity you never imagined before. But when it does appear, something inside you will recognize it immediately, because deep down, you will know this is not a coincidence. I often say this to people born under the sign of Aries. Your life was never meant to follow an ordinary road. You were born to open paths, to begin new chapters, and sometimes, to be the first one brave enough to walk into places no one else has dared to enter. And that is exactly why the universe often sends you powerful messages, not because life wants to test you more than others, but because your energy is strong enough to turn those messages into action. If something in these words resonates with you, take just a moment to like this video. That simple action does more than you might think. It helps this message reach more people, and it may help another Aries out there find the words they needed to hear in this exact moment. And if you feel that somewhere inside you, there is a story that hasn't yet been spoken, or a truth waiting quietly to be revealed, write a sentence in the comments saying that you are ready to hear the message the universe has for you. Sometimes saying those words out loud is the very first step toward opening the door to change. But remember, this is only the first sign. The awakening of Mars is just the beginning of a much larger movement in the astrological sky this month, because right after Mars ignites that inner fire inside Aries, another planet begins moving into position, one that may open opportunities you haven't even imagined yet. And what that planet is about to bring into your life very soon may finally help you understand why certain challenges appeared at the exact moments they did. When people hear about major planetary movements, many imagine loud events, dramatic turning points, something like a sudden storm arriving in the middle of life. But for those of us who have spent years observing astrology, there is a beautiful truth we are reminded of again and again. The most important changes often arrive very quietly. They don't bang loudly on the door. They appear more like a warm breeze, passing gently through your soul, letting you feel that something new is slowly opening. And for Aries, during this period of 2026, The planet bringing that gentle breeze is Jupiter. In astrology, Jupiter has long been known as the planet of expansion, opportunity, and the generosity of the universe. Many ancient cultures believed that when Jupiter moves into a favorable position in someone's birth chart, it means a door that once seemed completely closed is beginning to open again. But the fascinating thing about the way Jupiter works is that it rarely behaves like the dramatic stories we see in movies. It does not always create immediate change. Sometimes Jupiter behaves more like a wise and patient friend. It places an opportunity before you, or a piece of information, or a meaningful meeting, and then quietly waits to see what you will do with that gift. In the coming weeks, the energy of Jupiter is beginning to form a very harmonious alignment with the energy of Aries. That is why many astrologers are sensing that a door of opportunity is preparing to open in the lives of those born under this sign. But remember something very important. Opportunities rarely arrive with a giant sign hanging above them. Sometimes they appear in the form of a very simple sentence. A friend might call you one day and casually say they heard something interesting. A colleague might mention an opportunity they think you should know about. A family member might share an idea you had never considered before. Or perhaps an old friend, someone you haven't spoken to in years, suddenly appears again in your life with a simple message. Sometimes the words are very small. A sentence like this: "I thought you should know this." Or simply, "There's an opportunity for you." Those words may sound tiny, but if you look back at the story of your own life, you might realize something remarkable. Many of the most important turning points begin with moments that seem incredibly simple. After years working with astrology, I have heard the same kind of stories again and again. Someone once told me their entire career path changed because of a single piece of advice from a friend on an ordinary afternoon. Another person said they met the one who transformed their life only because they decided to attend a gathering they almost didn't go to. Stories like these have convinced me of something. The universe does not always need big miracles to change our lives. Sometimes it only needs the right person, the right information, and the right opportunity arriving at exactly the right moment. And when that happens to an Aries, the result can be extraordinary, because there is something very unique about this sign. When many people hear about an opportunity, they may think about it for a long time, analyze every possibility, and sometimes let that opportunity pass by because they are not completely sure. But Aries is different. You have a powerful instinct for recognizing when a door is opening, and when you feel that moment, you don't stand still for very long. You step forward. That is why many astrologers believe when Jupiter sends opportunities toward Aries, the ability to turn those opportunities into reality is often much stronger than it is for many other zodiac signs. But beyond astrology itself, there is also a very simple life lesson I would like to share with you. Opportunity does not always arrive like a bolt of lightning. It rarely knocks loudly on the door of our lives with dramatic announcements. Most of the time, it arrives quietly, like a whisper, a small idea, a casual conversation, a gentle suggestion. And whether we recognize it or not often depends on one thing: whether our hearts are open enough to listen. So let me ask you something very honestly. Are you ready to listen to the message the universe might be sending you? Sometimes that question is not easy to answer, because truly listening requires something from us. It asks us to slow down just a little, to notice the small details in life, the conversations that seem ordinary, the words we might once have ignored. Yet sometimes, those tiny details are exactly how the universe speaks to us. If something inside you feels even a small sense of curiosity hearing this, stay with me just a little longer. Allow yourself to listen to the rest of this story. And if you feel that something in these words is touching you, write in the comments that you are ready to receive the opportunity the universe may be preparing for you. Sometimes, saying those words opens a door in the mind, allowing us to notice the signs that were already appearing around us. Because the movement of Jupiter is not only about luck, it is also about expanding awareness. When this planet becomes powerful, people often begin seeing possibilities they never noticed before. A new path, a new idea, a new way of seeing themselves. And for Aries, this is especially important, because your energy already carries the spirit of a pioneer. You were born to step into places no one has explored before. But sometimes, even the strongest people need a small sign from the universe, reminding them that the door is still open, and that sign may be closer than you think. In the days ahead, pay attention to unexpected conversations. Listen closely to suggestions that seem ordinary, and trust your intuition when something you hear feels meaningful. Because when Jupiter begins opening doors of opportunity, the universe rarely sends only one signal, it sends many small ones. Like lanterns, lighting the path in the middle of the night. And if you are listening carefully, you may begin to notice that one of those signals is slowly guiding you toward a very important meeting. Someone may be preparing to enter your story, someone you may not have expected, someone who could carry the very message the universe wants to deliver to Aries during this time. And here is the fascinating part. The astrology of this month does not only suggest that the message will arrive, it also hints quite clearly about who might bring it to you. Once you understand this next sign, you may begin looking at the relationships around you with completely new eyes. Because as we continue observing the astrological sky of March 2026, another planet quietly steps into its role. If Mars awakens the fire inside Aries, and Jupiter opens the doors of opportunity, then the next planet plays a far more subtle but incredibly important role. That planet is Mercury. Mercury, the planet of communication, the planet of words, of conversations, of messages traveling from one human being to another. In astrology, Mercury rarely creates major events through raw force. Instead, Mercury behaves more like the universe's messenger. It doesn't create the message, it delivers it to the exact place where it needs to arrive. It connects conversations, meetings, sentences that appear simple, yet carry deep meaning. And in the birth chart of Aries, this month, Mercury is activating a very intriguing area, an area connected to memory, to past relationships, to people who once walked through your life. When this area awakens, astrology often shows a very interesting phenomenon. People who once drifted away may suddenly reappear. Conversations that seemed finished long ago may reopen. And sometimes, someone you never expected becomes the person who brings you a very important piece of information. This is not unusual in astrology. In fact, many turning points in a person's life begin with encounters that seem completely accidental. An old friend suddenly sends a message just to check in. Someone you once worked with remembers you right when a new opportunity appears. Or someone you helped in the past returns with an unexpected offer. When things like this happen, many people call it coincidence. But when we look at it through the lens of astrology, we often notice something remarkable. Those meetings tend to occur at the exact moments when planetary movements activate the areas of communication and memory in a person's birth chart. And that is exactly what is happening for Aries right now. Mercury is moving in a way that can bring people from the past back into your life, or reconnect you with relationships that once seemed to fade away. But the important part is not the person themselves. The important part is the message they carry with them. There is something very fascinating about the way the universe works. The universe rarely chooses grand moments to speak with us. Instead, it often uses ordinary people, simple conversation, to deliver messages that can completely change the direction of our lives. After observing thousands of birth charts over many years, this is the understanding I have come to. Extraordinary moments in life are often delivered through very ordinary people. A friend casually says something that stays in your mind for days. A family member shares a perspective that suddenly makes you look back at your entire journey differently. Or a stranger says something you needed to hear at exactly the right moment. And when Mercury becomes active, moments like this tend to appear more often. For Aries, this becomes especially important because you are the sign of action. You are not someone who likes to sit and wait too long for life to change on its own. When you recognize that a message carries meaning, your instinct is usually to act. But before action, there is one step that matters deeply: listening. Listening not only with your ears, but with your intuition. One of the most remarkable qualities of Aries is a powerful intuitive sense. Many people born under this sign can feel when something is true, even before all the evidence appears. And that is not random. It comes from the strong connection between the energy of Mars and the natural instincts within the human spirit. When a message is truly meant for you, you often recognize it very quickly. You may not be able to explain why, but something inside you simply knows. Those words matter. You know that the conversation you are having is not just an ordinary conversation. So in the days ahead, pay attention to encounters that seem small. You might receive a message from someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. You might run into someone who once crossed your path in a completely unexpected place. Or perhaps a friend in your life right now shares a piece of information they never mentioned before. Do not rush past moments like these. Sometimes the universe speaks to us in very subtle ways. It does not shout, it whispers, and only those who are truly listening can recognize it. If you have listened this far and feel that someone in your life might be preparing to appear with an important message, write in the comments that you are ready to listen to the signs the universe is sending. When we express that readiness, our awareness begins to expand toward things we may have overlooked before. And if this story makes you think about a specific person in your life, that may not be coincidence either. Many people have shared something very interesting. They suddenly start thinking about someone, and not long after, that very person reaches out to them. Invisible connections like these often become stronger when Mercury is active in the communication sectors of the birth chart. But there is something else this month's astrology suggests. For Aries, the message you are about to hear may not simply be a sentence. It could be a door, an offer, an idea, an opportunity you had never imagined before. And when it appears, the most important question will be this: will you have the courage to step forward? Because your intuition will tell you when something is real. If you feel that a piece of information is guiding you toward a new direction, do not be afraid. Do not let doubt hold you back for too long. Aries was never born to stand still in front of opportunity. You were born to open the door. And perhaps, in a conversation that seems perfectly ordinary, in the days ahead, you will begin to realize the universe has placed an entirely new path right in front of you. But the next question is the one that truly matters. What happens when Aries decides to walk through that door? Because the next part of this month's astrology is not only about the message, and not only about the person who delivers it. It speaks about something far greater. A moment when many Aries will suddenly realize their lives are about to move into a completely new chapter. There is something I have said for many years to people born under the sign of Aries. And every time I say it, I feel a very particular kind of resonance. Because once Aries truly understands this idea, they begin to look back at their life through completely different eyes. You were not born to live an ordinary life. That may sound like a big statement, but if you truly reflect on your journey, you may begin to realize something. The life of Aries rarely follows simple roads. From a very young age, many people born under this sign have faced challenges that forced them to grow faster than those around them. There were moments when it felt as though life placed more responsibility on your shoulders than seemed fair. There were times when you had to keep moving forward, alone, even while your heart still carried questions. with no clear answers. But those very moments are what shaped you. In astrology, Aries is known as the first sign of the zodiac wheel, and that means something deeper than simply being first on the calendar. It symbolizes beginnings, the moment a new energy enters the world. Those born under Aries carry the spirit of the pathfinder. You are the one willing to step into territory others hesitate to explore. You are the one willing to say what others are afraid to speak. And many times in life, you are the one who must walk first before the path becomes clear. And no, that is not always easy. There are moments when you feel exhausted, moments when you wonder why things must be so difficult, why you seem to face challenges before others do, why you must be strong when others choose safer roads. But if you look a little deeper, you may discover something beautiful. Those who open paths are always the first to see the sunrise. They are the ones who walk through the night first and discover the light before anyone else. And that is often the role the universe gives to Aries. When the planets begin sending messages, when astrological signs begin appearing, it rarely means a small event. More often, it is a signal that a new chapter is beginning. But every new chapter in life starts with a choice. And that choice is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is something simple. The decision to believe in yourself one more time. The decision not to give up, even when the road is still unclear. The decision to take one more step, even before you can see the whole path ahead. Over the years, I have met many people born under the sign of Aries. And there is something they almost always share. No matter how many trials life places before them, there is always a flame inside their heart. Sometimes that flame burns bright. Sometimes it becomes quiet. But it rarely disappears. It is the flame of hope, of courage, of the quiet belief that life still holds something greater waiting ahead. And when astrological signs, like the ones we are discussing now, begin to appear, very often, that is when the flame rises again. Perhaps in the past few days, you have already felt it. A subtle feeling that something is moving in your life. A shift, so gentle, yet strong enough to capture your attention. A quiet synthe that the universe may be preparing to open a new door. If you have felt that, believe this, you are not alone. Many Aries around the world are stepping into a similar phase within their birth charts. And when that energy spreads, it often creates very powerful moments. Moments when a person realizes they are no longer the same person they were yesterday. Moments when someone understands that the hardships they endured were not meaningless. Moments when a soul sees clearly that everything they have experienced has been guiding them toward a stronger version of themselves. If there is one thing I hope you carry with you after hearing this part of the story, it is this: Aries was not born to stand still. You were born to move forward. That does not mean you must always feel strong. It does not mean you are never allowed to feel tired. It does not mean you never doubt yourself. All of us have days like that. But what makes Aries different is that even after the hardest days, you still find a way to rise again. That is your real strength. Not that you never fall, but that you always find the courage to stand up. And when the universe sends a message, when the planets form the signs we are seeing this month, very often, it is a reminder that it is time for you to take another step forward. That step may lead to a new opportunity, a new career, a new direction, or perhaps a completely new way of seeing your life. But the most important question is not where that path leads. The real question is, do you believe in yourself enough to walk it? If you are listening right now and feel even a small vibration in your heart, take a moment to write a simple sentence in the comments. I am ready to step into the next chapter of my life. Sometimes saying those words is the way we remind ourselves that we are ready for change. And if this story has inspired you in any way, share this video so that other Aries out there may hear the message they might need in this very moment. Because one of the most beautiful things about Aries energy is that when one Aries finds their strength, they often inspire many others around them. But before we finish this story, there is still something important you need to hear, because the planetary movements in this month's chart are not only speaking about a moment of change, they are also hinting at what may happen after you step through that door. And if you are still here, listening to the final moments of this story, perhaps that is not a simple coincidence either. In astrology, we often believe when a message appears exactly at the moment our heart is searching for answers, it means our soul is ready to receive something new. And perhaps right now, somewhere along your journey, you, Aries, are standing at the threshold of a new chapter. One the universe has been quietly preparing for a long time. The movements of the planets this month are not only about changes in the sky, they also reflect movements within your soul. They remind us that life sometimes contains very special moments when a small piece of information, a simple sentence, or an unexpected meeting can open a door we never saw before. And for Aries, those moments often carry the power of a beginning. Not a small beginning, but the beginning of a new journey, a new version of who you are becoming. So in the coming days, slow down just a little. Pay attention to things that may appear ordinary, an unexpected conversation, a message you did not expect, a gentle suggestion from someone around you. Sometimes the universe does not send loud signs, it simply places a small piece in front of and waits to see whether we recognize its meaning. If you listen with your heart, you will recognize the moment when the message appears. You will feel a quiet vibration inside you, a moment when your intuition whispers, "This is not coincidence." And when that moment arrives, remember this: you are allowed to believe in yourself. You are allowed to believe your life can be bigger, vida, and more beautiful than you once imagined. Before we close, I want to invite you to do something simple but meaningful. Write one sentence in the comments: "I am ready to receive the next chapter of my destiny." When you write those words, you are not just leaving a comment, you are making a declaration to the universe that you are ready to move forward, ready to open your heart to the opportunities and message that are coming. And if these words have touched your heart in any way, take a moment to like this video and share it. Somewhere out there, another Aries may need to hear this exact message tonight. And when you share it, you are not just sharing a video, you are sharing hope, encouragement, and the positive energy we all need. Sometimes, I also want to say something from the heart. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to stay here, to listen, and to allow these words to become a small part of your journey. In a world that moves so quickly, taking a few minutes to listen, to reflect, and reconnect with yourself is something truly valuable. If you would like to continue exploring astrological messages for Aries and other zodiac signs, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next stories. Because every week, we will open new conversations, new perspectives, and new messages the universe may be sending your way. And before you go, remember one last thing, Aries. Life sometimes changes, not through massive events, but through very small moments. A small piece of information, a small conversation, a small decision, yet those tiny moments can become the beginning of a remarkable destiny. And that moment may be closer than you think. When it arrives, I hope you remember, the universe has always believed in the strength of Aries.